You ever see a news report about a massive volcanic eruption somewhere, and then a week later there's a huge earthquake on the other side of the world, and you wonder, are those two things connected? Well, it turns out they absolutely are. And today we're going to dive into the one single powerful idea that ties it all together, plate tectonics. And hey, just so you know, what you're watching is part 12 of a 20-part series. It's all about introducing Earth sciences to everyone, and it's from our friends at Virtualization Options LLC. Today, we're talking about the engine that literally drives our planet. Okay, let's start with a really basic question. The ground you're on right now, it feels pretty solid, right? Stable, permanent. But what if it's not? What if the very continent you're on is actually moving? Right now, as you're listening to this. That brings us to our first big idea. We need to stop thinking about the Earth as a solid marble and start picturing it more like a moving puzzle, a planet that's constantly in motion. And the theory that explains all of this is called plate tectonics. The core idea is that the Earth's outer shell, the crust we live on, isn't one solid piece. It's actually shattered into these huge rocky slabs. The best way to think about it really is like a giant jigsaw puzzle covering the whole globe, but the pieces are always slowly drifting around. So, how in the world do continents move? Well, these massive plates are basically floating on a layer of rock underneath that's so hot it acts like super thick hot putty. And get this for a sense of scale, they're moving at about the same speed that your fingernails grow. Yeah, I know, it sounds ridiculously slow, but over millions and millions of years, that tiny little movement is powerful enough to shove continents around and build entire mountain ranges. So if these giant puzzle pieces are always moving, what happens at the edges? Where they grind up against each other. Well, that's where things get really interesting. These are the planet's action zones. This is where it all happens. I'm serious. The earthquakes, the volcanoes, the world's biggest mountains, almost all of that geologic drama happens right here, at the boundaries where these plates meet. And it really just boils down to three basic interactions. They can pull apart from each other, they can smash right into each other, or they can just slide sideways past one another. So let's break that down real quick. When plates are divergent, they're pulling apart, and new molten rock from below oozes up to create brand new crust. Think of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. When they're convergent, it's a collision. This is geological mayhem. They can either crumble up to build huge mountains like the Himalayas, or one plate can dive under the other, creating volcanoes. And finally, you have transform boundaries. That's where they just slide and grind past each other, building up tons of stress until it releases in, you guessed it, an earthquake. And that grinding motion is the perfect place to start. Let's dig into that first major consequence of plate tectonics, the science behind why the ground shakes. See, an earthquake isn't just some random event. It's the direct result of that slow grinding plate movement. The edges of the plates aren't smooth, they're jagged and rough, so they get stuck on each other. But the rest of the plate keeps moving, so stress builds up and up and up, sometimes for hundreds of years. An earthquake is just that moment when the friction finally breaks, and all that pent-up energy is released at once in a massive, violent lurch. Okay, this is something people mix up all the time, so let's make it super clear. You hear about an earthquake's magnitude, right? That's a single number, like a magnitude 7.0. It measures the total amount of energy the earthquake released way down at its source. But intensity is about what people actually feel on the surface. A single earthquake can only have one magnitude, but it can have many different intensities. That's why one town can be completely flattened, while another, just a few miles away, only feels a little rattle. But these plate interactions aren't just about things breaking apart. They're also about building new things. And when you create cracks and openings in the Earth's crust, well, you give magma a way to get out. And that gives us the world of volcanoes. Now, when I say the word volcano, this is probably what pops into your head. The classic, steep cone shape, just like Mount Fuji. This is a stratovolcano. These are the real heavyweights, usually found where plates are colliding. Their magma is super thick and sticky, which means it traps gas under incredible pressure. And when that pressure finally blows, you get these massive, explosive eruptions that build the mountain up, layer by layer, with ash and lava. They're as beautiful as they are terrifying. But not all volcanoes are like that. Take a look at the shield volcanoes that built the Hawaiian Islands. Their lava is the total opposite. It's thin, it's runny, it's fluid. This lets gas escape easily, so instead of a big explosion, the lava just pours out in these long, flowing rivers. Over time, these flows build up these enormous, wide mountains with really gentle slopes. They're maybe less dramatic, but they create a ton of new land. And then we have this simplest of the bunch, this cinder cone. These are the little guys. They form when gas-filled lava gets blasted into the air and it breaks apart into little fragments that cool and fall as cinders around a single vent. They can pop up pretty quickly, and they usually don't stick around for too long, geologically speaking. It's so easy to just think of volcanoes as these purely destructive forces, but that's only half the story. They are also unbelievably creative. They literally build new land, entire islands, right out of the ocean. The ash they spew out breaks down into some of the most fertile soil on the planet. And if you go way, way back, volcanoes are a huge reason we even have an atmosphere and oceans to begin with. They really are both destroyer and creator. There's this quote from the source material that just sums it all up perfectly. The geosphere, far from being a passive backdrop to life, is an active, restless participant in Earth's great story. And that's exactly it. The ground isn't just a stage that life happens on, it's one of the main actors, constantly changing the scene. So I want to leave you with this thought. We've seen how the ground beneath us is always on the move, how that movement causes the Earth to shake and mountains of fire to rise. So what does it actually mean for us, for human beings, to live on a planet that is constantly and sometimes violently remaking itself right under our feet?